Alright, so we've just pulled the sump off and I completely forgot about something, which I made Nick look away so he couldn't see it, but I'm going to explain what's going on here. Well boys, welcome back again. Today we've done ourselves a bit of a mischief. We've broken the blue twin engine car, suspected rod bearing. Nick and I took it down to the roll racing, did one pass, car went awesome. Come back around again, went to go and do another run again and did a full pass, felt fantastic. Traction control was working fantastic, car hooked up really well. Yeah, car was going great. We get into the end of the pass and then Nick says to me, shit, I can hear something, shut it off. So we shut it off and pull over and check it on the track. We go start the rear engine up and listen to it and had some sort of tick, rattle, suspected sort of rod bearing. We don't actually know. So we shut it down, took it back to the pits, brought it back to the workshop, and the next day I jumped in it and started the rear engine up and it was actually quiet, there was no noises there. But there's a few other things that have gone wrong with it. I noticed that there's been a bit of radiator pressure there and it's pumped quite a bit of water out of the overflow. You can see it there up against the firewall. The catch can also was about 3/4 full of oil. It's pretty obvious there that we got some detonation, something's going on. Remember, it's only the Microtech LT9 that we have on here. It has no knock sensors, no engine protection. Yeah, no sort of fail safes there. So I mean, this is going to happen sooner or later. Now, anyone that's been following this series for a while will know the front engine's also built. We've got the new Haltech 1500 Elite on there. We've got all the sensors, knock sensors, pressure and temp sensors, the whole lot. We do quite a bit of logging with that and everything there is looking good. So I just finished my intro, now Nick's rolled up. I was just saying it's pretty obvious there that we've done some detonation. But I mean...
yeah, who knows, we'll have to pull it apart and have a look.
Alright, let's get into it. So sitting here pulling this apart, we're still discussing what it actually could be. And the fact that I started up when it was cold and it actually didn't make a noise, Nick's had a suggestion that maybe it's done a head gasket, because anyone that's watched that video I made of don't buy cheap head gaskets, it blew through one of the cylinders and it caused a knock. That is a possibility. Yeah, while this is out now, putting a Haltech in it, we're going to rip all this garbage out. This is all like standard Starlet wiring loom that I chopped up 9 years ago and made it work. So it's time to
give it a bit of love.
Time to upgrade. So what do you reckon? Do you reckon it's going to be bearings or head gasket?
I'm going to say your head gasket's done, as a fact. But I'm also going to say your ring lands are done.
Yeah. Because Nick pointed out too, it had like a high idle before the second run.
And the catch can was filled.
And it was blowing smoke.
Yeah, if it was detonating, it would have been doing ring lands for sure.
You know how like everything seems to happen at once? What if it's broken a crank again, like your car?
Yeah, no, I didn't. Not making enough power to do that, mate. Yeah. Yeah. Nightmare.
I must say, it is pretty sick that the air temps in this rear engine with the intercooler there is actually colder than the front engine at all times.
It's funny how that works, eh?
Mm.
Is there a fan on the back of it? Yeah, there is.
But still, even cruising around the track,
yeah,
still works really well. Cool.
Needs a gurney, doesn't it?
It needs a lot of love. Well, first inspection of the engine oil.
Oh, hang on. There's something coming through there, isn't there? That's not good at all, look at that shit.
Usually you can just leave the whole turbo and everything bolted on, but I'm telling you now it's far easier. We'll just pull it off now.
I believe you.
And then we're going to pull the whole thing apart anyway, so we'll pull the turbo, dump pipe everything off.
And CV's out. This line here.
Which one? Yeah, it's a clutch line. Just pull the slave cylinder out of the way for that.
Yeah.
All the wiring's out of the way, we've drained the engine and gearbox, pretty much ready to come out. Oil pressure gauge. That'll be good, switching to the Haltech, delete that, go to an electronic gauge.
Yeah. Wasn't.
To be honest, you have that, but you don't even look at it.
No, you
By
would.
the time something goes wrong, like now anyway, it's too late anyway.
By the time you catch it, it's too late, man.
I had this on the dyno years ago, running it up. I'm standing from the dyno watching the oil pressure gauge and didn't see any low pressure. It still ended up ticking. Alright, so we've just pulled the sump off and I completely forgot about something, which I made Nick look away so he couldn't see it, but I'm going to explain what's going on here.
Holy heck.
How cool is that?
That's sick.
So, I was trying to eliminate some oil pressure problems here. So that's the factory oil pressure relief, which usually bolts straight to the block. And when it sprays out of this little hole, it usually shoots oil straight onto the crank. So I figured I'll make this little junction here that goes down and feeds it back into the bottom of the sump.
Did it work?
Why I've put glue on there, I don't know. This has been together for a couple of years, so I forgot about it until now. We dropped the sump and I've gone, oh no, what is that? Anyway, how are we looking in here? Come out in the light.
Not good.
Oh, yuck.
Not good at all.
Oh, that's all right. That's just dirty oil. As long as there's no metal in there, I don't really care.
Well, it's very... Oh, I forgot about the drain.
The Lenny shoe?
Yeah, it did.
That's awesome. It's all right. I changed this oil the day before roll racing and it still looks horrid. Well, you know, the main thing is, I'm feeling in the sump there, there's no big clumpy bits.
No, it's just not very nice.
Has it done rod number 3?
Did you get your crank?
Yeah, balance crank. How sick is that?
Oh.
Alright, we'll go to the part and have a look. Well, we've just whipped all the rod bearings off. 4, 3, 2, and 1 are looking Mickey Mouse. Usually number 3 is our problem one there.
Yeah, the bearing's looking really good.
But yeah, she's looking really good. There's a marks on there like that. I don't know what that is, but it's nice and smooth still.
The actual bearings look really good.
And yeah, bearing themselves looking pretty flash. Well, that's good. At least we don't have to get a regrind on the crank or get any machine work done there. However, when it's all apart, I do want to get the ALP bolts put in, which means we've got to get the line honing done. But other than that, could have been worse. So at this stage, we're looking at just a head gasket
and main bearings.
And the set of main bearings. Cool. All right. Alright guys, so upon the first inspection, pulling the rocker cover off. Cam lobes look nice and clean. There's no score marks there. And yeah, just in general inside looks pretty good. Alright, we'll get the cams out and pull the head off. Alright, well I've just run the cams over, and if we look at the exhaust cam here on number 1, something there has taken a severe hit. It does not feel very nice at all. This first lobe's okay, and if I go and look in here, all the inside of the bucket there is all broken off. Oh, I see. So I can see under there that the shim's missing, and I'm trying to look around to see, because it's pretty hard to lose a shim that's almost the size of a 20-cent coin. And I can see half of it underneath the cam gear, straight under here, broken to a piece. What the hell has happened, and when did that happen? Because that's terrible. That's ruined my cam. Now, because these are already a high lift cam, I was actually pretty worried that if that shim had dropped out onto the edge here, lobe's come around and smacked it, that the valve had gone down too far and actually hit the piston. But it still seemed to run okay. It didn't have any misfires, so I think the valves aren't bent. I pulled all the nuts off now, so we'll pull the head off and have a look. Alrighty, so I've pulled the head off and I found some damage, but I want to tell you a quick story. When I first built this engine, I set up the distributor by myself to get the timing right, and when we went to get the dyno tune, the tuner asked me if he set up the distributor, and I said yep, we're at 10 degrees. So he started running it up on the dyno and doing his thing, and when we started doing the power runs, you could hear it knocking, and he said, are you sure you've checked the timing? I said yep, I'm not an idiot, I've sorted it out. to another run, starts knocking. He takes a heap of timing out and the knocking goes away. So we get his timing light out and plug it in, and sure enough, I had it 10 degrees advanced. So 10 degrees advanced on this engine was enough that you could audibly hear it knock, and we could see the head gasket lifting because it was pushing out some coolant on the ground. Pulled the spark plugs out and checked them. Number 3, the porcelain was missing, so it was obvious now the porcelain had gone through the brand new motor. We put a new set of plugs in it and took the timing out, and it was still running perfect. It wasn't blowing any smoke, so I just thought, stuff it, we'll just leave it and see how it goes. He did advise me to change a head gasket, but I hadn't had any head lifting issues ever since, so I didn't worry about it. So now we've got the head off and we have a look at cylinder number 3. There's a whole heap of pitting marks there. I'm just going to zoom in so you can see. There's a whole heap of pitting marks there, which that's from the spark plug. It's actually still a bit of porcelain there. You see this black stuff around here? That's clear indication we're getting combustion gas under the head gasket into the cooling system. Now remember, that last run at roll racing, we'd also pump water out in the ground, so this is where it was coming from. Number 2, this doesn't look too good either. Number 1, that's okay. Looks like we've blown a little bit through the cylinders here as well. Yeah, so it's not good. We look at these spark plugs though, porcelain's still nice and white, that's number 4. Number 3 has been leaking water in there for a long time. And number 2 is nice and white, number 1's nice and white. First of all, we need to get the head skimmed and we'll fix that up. And we can reuse the head, that's going to be fine. I don't know what I'm going to do about that yet. Probably have to replace the cam, but we'll get around to that. Pulled the pistons out. Top still look nice and clean. Yeah, no melting marks on there. It's all pretty good. I haven't even wiped them, I've just left them how I found them, but I'll wipe them shortly. The coatings on the skirts are all still intact, and just this number 3 piston here. We've got spark plug porcelain damage on that side, and a little bit on here as well. But we are the camp dogs and we will reuse that. Now, inside the bore. Oh, here, look too. Bearing journals feel perfect. They feel really good. Now, here's bearing journal number 3. This actually looks a lot worse than it is. The camp dog was far worse, and we hit that with a honing stone and got it pretty good. But there's one mark on the other side here where you can see the porcelain's grabbed on the top of the piston and it's just ran up and down the bore a heap of times. That actually isn't too bad. There's a little mark there, but I think it's going to be okay. Oh, there's still a bit of porcelain. There's still a bit of porcelain there at the top of the bore. Look at that. Yeah, wow. Alright, so you gave the block a bit of a wipe down, and we can see between cylinder 1 and 2, got a bit of black here that's telling us a bit of gas going across the cylinders there. You know, when it's hot, that could have been enough to be blowing gas over here to make that cylinder rattle. Apart from the brown stuff, which is just a bit of E85, they're looking pretty good. Number 3 on the other hand, that's a little bit sad, but we are the camp dogs and we are definitely going to reuse that. Number 2 here looks pretty good, I think. And we got here number 4. Number 4 is looking pretty healthy as well. So there's no actual detonation that's melted the top of the piston from heat. It was detonation from too much timing. So it's just igniting the fuel way too early and creating a lot of cylinder pressure there, which has broken the porcelain off on number 3 and caused the horrible damage there on the top of the piston. But anyway, my bad. So although we've torched one of the motors in the blue car, it's not the end of the world. We've got it apart. It looks like it's going to be fairly cheap to fix. So we're going to get onto that now, get some parts coming and put it back together. Don't forget, if you're looking for Starlet parts, jump on the Camp Dog store. We've got a heap of genuine seals and O-rings and that on store now, along with a heap of ARP bolts, and we've got all gasket sets and things like that, so go check it out. We're also pairing up with VR Race, Velocity Race, and we're going to be storing a heap of intake manifolds and other Starlet bits and pieces very soon. Core pack covers, distributor covers and core lever plug plates that bolt on the top of the rocker cover, so stay tuned for that. Alright boys, see you in the next one.